Hey, how's it going, you plain people? You just plain, normal, plain people? Listen to Plain People's Podcast. I'm Mark Aviglio, and this is a podcast where I talk to people from around the Fargo-Moorhead area, and you're listening to episode 18, 19? I don't know, man. You're listening to one of those. You should know. You're the one who clicked it. It's episode 19. It's coming out November 18th. That's what threw me off. Episode 19 coming up November 18th. I talked to the guys from the comedic power duo Kamikaze Snowmen, and holy crap, is this a fun interview. Yeah, it went really good. Had them down in the basement and, drank a couple beers, talked about everything, and I don't have to pitch it to you. You can listen to it right now. So check it out. Really awesome interview. Boom. Kamikaze Snowman. Here we go. Boop ba doop 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 ba da ba da ba 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 ba.
Turn this back. I'm mad at you until I realize you're not paying attention.
All right. Wait, what time is it? All right, we're at 6. All right. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Doing just fine.
That's good with me too.
It's a bit cold out.
Very cold.
Yeah. So we went a little past your place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Towards that apartment building up there, and we walked partway down before we said to ourselves, these don't really look like townhouses.
No, this is wrong.
We should probably check the address, and then had to walk back, realize that we had gone too far, and then come back
Which
over.
is an entirely different experience and much more miserable when it's cold out than
Yeah.
when it's like, 75
If it was
degrees.
nice out, that'd be pleasant.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
this
just
is
like,
a nice
this
walk. I
Is,
can
yeah.
walk
Yeah.
off
Use
some
this.
of the food I just
It's
ate.
like, well, this better be right or we'll
So,
die. We'll
we're-
never make it there.
We're either not at townhomes or these are huge, 2 giant townhomes,
Yeah.
which I don't think this guy could afford. And I don't know why he designed it to have 80 balconies. But
just loves balconies, I guess.
my wife said, 3 days ago, she's like, when is this going to end? I'm like, what? She's like, the cold. I'm like, March? What are you talking about? She's like, no, it's too early to start winter. I'm like, it is not. This is about we got blessed with global warming for a while, but now we're getting
Is she
normal.
not from this area?
No,
then?
she is. She's
Oh,
from
okay.
Minnesota.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but they have hills there. It's not the same.
yeah.
There's
Well,
some
it depends
trees
where in
to-
Minnesota.
They have hills and trees.
Block the
less
wind.
She's got mostly she's from Granite Falls, wherever that is. I've been there twice.
Well, you should know where that is. I don't know where that is.
Yeah.
I don't 100% know. I couldn't drive there, but I've been there. There's a bakery that sells tacos, so I said we can move whenever you want to go back to your
There you
hotel.
go. That seems pretty good.
Yeah,
that's
we
okay.
can get donuts, tacos, and coffee in the same spot. It's the only restaurant you need.
Just every day.
Yeah, I'd do it.
3
Yeah.
meals. Is that the name of the place? 3 meals.
I don't know what the name is. I think it was just called bakery. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't really have to be too creative when there's only 5 stores in the whole
Right.
town,
Right.
and 3 of them are antique stores.
There's a town we drove through, and I can't remember where it was, somewhere up in North Dakota here, and there's a restaurant. I think it used to be a Pizza Hut, and it just says Authentic Mexican Restaurant on it.
Like, that doesn't sound
That's it?
shady.
That's, yeah. Just like, well.
Either it's going to be the best Mexican food in the world or the worst Mexican food
right.
in the world. That's the thing. If it's just called Frank's Tacos, they're probably going to be great. They don't need to advertise. If it's super awesome kick-ass tacos, they probably suck.
Yeah, or if they went too far on trying to make it sound like it's
Mhm.
Mexican,
Yeah.
This is Juan Pablo Esperanza III's Taco Emporium, it's
And
like
a-
that point.
And a guy named John runs it.
Yeah.
What the hell?
He's never been out of the States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you tried too hard, buddy.
Anyways, well, this is exactly how I like to start off every conversation. Is
Talking
taco
about tacos?
restaurants, taco.
Yeah.
I do like tacos. It's my thing. It's one of my things.
How can you not like tacos?
I don't know.
I like
unless
burritos.
you're
All right, I'm going to come out right now. I like burritos better than tacos.
All right.
Well, but you don't dislike tacos.
I don't dislike tacos.
It's not like if someone said, "Hey, let's go to the bakery and get a donut and a taco." You'd be like, "Do they have burritos?" Then I'm not going.
I might.
What?
I know. It's just hard shell tacos have never been my favorite.
All right. Can we just? I just
All
want to say one thing. I think all meat, tortillas, and cheese should be just called certain types of tacos. I think a burrito is just a bigger
Just a-
wrapped taco.
It's a bigger taco.
I just don't
Yeah.
see the difference between a burrito and a taco.
See?
I can turn any taco into a smaller burrito.
See?
It's not that
And
just wrap
I
the
can
damn
get
thing.
behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
What
See,
kind of-
we're coming together.
What kind of tacos are these? What's a flat taco? Oh, a quesadilla? Huh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it. Meat, cheese, tortilla. It's like just calling all different pasta. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right. Well, then I do like tacos.
There you go. We're making great breakthroughs here.
straighten his ass up.
Yeah. What else can we get? What else can we fix?
How much time do we have?
The economy. All right. All right. No one can stop that or fix that or stop it. I don't know. So I've been playing Red Dead Redemption all day. So if I seem like a nihilist, I normally am, but if I seem more like a violent nihilist, because I've been playing a game where literally it's just sad and
So is the
horrible
theme
violence.
of that game that the Wild West is not friendly?
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was just like, like you had the bar, you had the place where you get the women and you dance, and
the
that's
guy who
it.
plays the piano.
Yeah, that was
And
the
a
Wild
game
West,
of
right?
poker in the corner.
And everybody's
And
friendly.
you got,
Everybody sings and dances, and like that's it.
If you based all your Wild West or all history off of Bill and Ted, it would be great.
Right?
Yeah. Or paint your wagon.
Paint your way.
It's a
Oklahoma,
musical, right?
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah. Or Oregon Trail. No, that's a bad one. Everyone dies from
Everyone
dysentery.
dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Dysentery.
probably more what you should base it off of, if anything.
They really should not make an updated Oregon Trail, because I think someone did that at some point, but they should have a video game where just like everybody dies of dysentery at some point.
I think Red Dead Redemption's pretty much that.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, we bought we do a lot of board games. I don't know if you can tell, but we bought they're all in here. Like a board game version of Oregon Trail, and we were actually excited to buy it. And then we were playing it, and we're like, "Why were we like?" It's just like now everyone's starving, and then you pray for another thing. Oh, now this. I was like, "This isn't fun." Like this is literally the same thing as the old game, but just analog.
What I love about Oregon Trail, you can leave anytime you want, but you can only leave at this time or you'll die.
Yeah.
You can take anything you want, but you have to have 3 axles or you'll die.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I get it, game.
Yeah.
I can't just load up on whatever I want.
That was a first very dark video game like that. They did not hold back.
It was just very realistic.
Very realistic,
you know?
very educational, realistic in its green tone.
Oh yeah,
images.
just the.
But I always loved going hunting, and you would go and you'd blast like 17 things. You'd be like, and you take home 50 pounds, and like you just leave like a whole plains full of dead animals.
And that's the scene that Kevin Costner walks in on when there's all the skinned buffalo.
Yeah.
Like somebody playing Oregon Trail over here.
Like I shot 17 buffalo, only took like literally a leg. That's all I can take.
The only thing was missing was deforestation, and then we'd have all sorts of groups angry.
Oh, that's gonna be the sequel. Yeah. Amazon Trail.
Just go and clear cut, slash and burn. That's what it's all about.
All right, it's about time to start the podcast. So, all right, Paul and Josh, I got this right?
Yes.
All right, sweet.
Yes.
I had to ask him when you were in the bathroom. I called him Paul. It got very awkward.
We get mixed up all the
I've
time.
been called worse.
Well, all right, do tell. No. All right, so where are you guys from originally? This area?
Same place, actually. We're from Aberdeen, South Dakota.
Yes,
So,
that is correct.
yeah, that's a little
sweet.
town 2.5 hours to the southwest
My
of here.
first girlfriend's from there.
Well, there you go.
You guys probably know her because there's only like 5 people in the entire town.
Well, it's 25,000. Let's not calm down. It's a bigger town than that. It's
The
third
population
largest.
sign says that at
Yes,
least.
third largest town in South Dakota.
which
So that's a thing.
is a badge that they wear
It's
proudly.
a badge.
I guess it would be
Biggest town in North Dakota, and I don't fucking advertise that when I'm talking to people from like Seattle. It's like, where are you from? The biggest town in North Dakota.
You say Fargo and everybody knows. They're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Fargo.
Yes, that's right.
I got it.
I get to ask if it's just like the movie, and it was like, yeah, we kill Steve Buscemi every week.
Oh yeah,
It's just, it's
We throw
exactly like
wood chippers full of corpses.
Yeah, that's how we
everywhere.
just we don't actually have funerals. We just have a wood chipper. We just throw them
Yeah.
in there. That's
Just
our
one.
rite of passage.
Which in the winter it would actually be way more efficient instead of just like whatever they do with the bodies until they could bury them. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, what do they do in the winter?
It's something I think about every winter.
I honestly haven't thought of this.
I had a coworker said that they were waiting to have a funeral until the ground thawed once, and I was like, "Where's the body?"
Yeah, what do they do?
And then I wasn't gonna ask that because I thought it was morbid.
I have never thought of that before. Have you thought of that?
I honestly haven't. I just kind of figured because
I
it's
just
not like
figured
we
they'd
have
dig it up.
permafrost
Maybe
here.
bulldozers
Like,
could get through the frozen ground. Maybe
I'm
Ken and
sure-
Sopranos?
Some poor staff has to be out there digging that thing.
Yeah.
That's what you should find for your next podcast.
Oh, that would be a
Oh,
good one.
Grave
You'd be
digger
like-
has to work in the winter.
Yeah.
Tell us all about that.
Oh my god. That guy, he wouldn't. It wouldn't even be beer. You'd want like straight shots of tequila or something. Like he'd be the saddest guy. It'd be great if he was super upbeat. Like, I also do musicals. Like what? Like
you bundle up, you grab a shovel, you go out there, you're outside digging all day. It's great.
It's about helping people.
Exercise. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, without me, they'd just be sitting in a garage somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, seriously, that's what I want.
Piled up in a
or sprayed out by a wood chipper.
Because it's cold. I mean, the bodies would freeze and preserve you.
Yeah, you think that we could just leave them where they're gonna be buried, and they'll be fine.
They can save their spot.
Yeah,
just like,
you go through
on top.
Graveyard in January, and there's a bunch of IOU dead.
Well, it's kind of
bodies.
like when they come and install your cable. You know, they just lay it over the top of the ground, and then they come and dig it up later. Maybe it's the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've never really been to a graveyard.
I'm gonna have to pay attention when I drive past.
I know where my next emo selfies will be taken.
Yeah.
Just in front of all the dead bodies.
There you go. Just go and make snow angels right next to them.
That's mocking them.
Yeah.
Look what I can do. I don't have rigor mortis, you dead bastards. That's just cruel.
Well, they don't. To be fair, they won't know.
Yeah. So we've gone to
And they
tacos to death.
Yeah.
So what we've been on today.
That is a pretty natural progression, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I did nihilism, very brief, and then we went to Oregon Trail. Yeah, this is great. It's a great conversation so far. So Aberdeen, you guys still based? Are you based around here now, or are you guys?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're based out of Fargo now. There's actually a third member of the band, mutual friend of ours. He and Paul have been friends since kindergarten, and I met them both in the 7th grade. And he currently lives out in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
So he doesn't participate as much because we're not famous enough to be able to fly him into all the many great shows that we perform.
Yeah.
All those things. Yeah. Although he has flown it before for specific things, but
Yeah. But we still, when it comes down to recording and stuff, thanks to the magic of the internet, we're able to record something and pass tracks back and forth, and
that's pretty
so
cool.
we can all still contribute as we're able. So,
yeah.
Okay, so a little bit. All right, let's hang out in Aberdeen for a little while then.
Sure. Okay.
So, what was growing up? You guys, parents do. What did you guys do? What was life like? Let's start with you first.
Okay, well, let's see. So yeah, I grew up and raised. I was born and raised there my whole life. My mother was a college professor, and my dad was a financial advisor. So, had a good upbringing, very well educated parents, and
yeah, I see that.
So that was always a strong thing in my family. I have two older sisters. We have a really sarcastic sense of humor, kind of a dark sense of humor, I'd say, probably in my family. But really a vivacious one, or is that a word?
Vivacious.
Sure.
I was just admiring the name.
I'm just inventing words, but yeah, it was a.
We vibrate a lot.
Vibration. It was a very it was a good family to grow up in. Good sense of humor, so always appreciated that. Yeah, it was a really good upbringing in Aberdeen. I guess when I got older, like in high school, you kind of start to really kind of disdain where you're living, and so I was like,
yeah, I felt it up here. Yeah,
right. Just didn't like it, and kind of felt cloistered in and whatnot. So then I decided that I was going to go to college, the farthest place from there, which was Los Angeles.
Nice.
So spent some time there, but then ended up actually being really unhappy there for various number of reasons. I mean, number one being that I grew up in a small town, and Los Angeles is just not that. I always describe Los Angeles as it's like a Walmart parking lot that goes on for 500 miles. That's like Los Angeles. That is it. It's just hot and it's humid and everything's concrete. It's like, oh my God, does this end? And it doesn't.
So you're saying it's not the Aberdeen of California?
It is. No. It can be very, very dark, and especially when you're young and you don't quite know what you want to get into. I mean, it's a big city. You got to know what you're doing.
I watched the movie mid-90s. I think I got a pretty good.
Okay, that's a relatively new one.
Yeah. I mean, it's like LA, so I think I got it.
Now, granted, I went to a great school, and so. But yeah.
What did you study when you went there?
So I didn't know what I wanted to be. So I just took a lot of generals, and I should have just gone right into film school, but I didn't. And then by the time I realized I wanted to go into film school, that was a 4-year back-to-back program. So and I figured that out like at year 3. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be here for 7 years. Those people are called doctors. I'm not one of them. So I decided to leave. but yeah, I was studying kind of. I think I was looking at English creative writing at some point.
Okay.
That's what I was settled on. But then I just like left. I just left, and I came to Moorhead, Minnesota.
Why
That's where
not
my-
back to Aberdeen?
I did not want to go back to my hometown. Just again, I just didn't feel like that's not where I wanted to be. I was like,
Yeah.
I like it now as I'm older. I have a family. I have a wife and kids, and I love going back there. My family's there. Going back there for Christmas. Love spending time there. But when you're younger and you're just trying to like find yourself, it's like you can't. For me, I didn't feel like I could do that in my hometown.
I know. The funny thing is, I know exactly what you're saying. I grew up around here, and I ran a little northern, but the same amount. I went to Seattle for school right afterwards too, because when I was 17 and to 19, your hometown's the worst fucking place ever.
Yep.
And especially this place is so flat that the first time I ever got out of, I remember the first time I saw Valley City. It was the furthest west I ever went. And I was like, what are all these giant land things? Hills? What?
1,000 miles to go.
Yeah, it blew my mind. And yeah, so then when I was all the way out there, you could see a mountain, you could see the like water. It wasn't quite the ocean; it was attached to the ocean. It was a Puget Sound, but it was just like this exists in a like outside a window. Like what the hell? And I eventually came back here. Same thing, kind of dark, kind of unhappy over there. And I don't know. Is Seattle synonymous with depression? Isn't that what?
Well, it does
90s
rain
grunge
there.
music.
Yeah, it does rain there. Quite a bit.
I am okay with the rain because it didn't snow.
Yeah.
So whenever somebody's like, I couldn't live with all that rain. The coldest it gets is 40, man.
See, the
Not
funny
that
thing
bad.
is, like after a while, like the constant sunshine of Los Angeles, like for me, not
It's-
having lived
It's
there,
the same thing.
it-
It gets depressing.
gets to you. You're just
Yeah.
like, I just want, give me anything different than this. Like it's just like too perfect, too much of the time. You get like this whole like Stepford Wives feel to it. It's
Right.
like everything's happy and sunny and everybody
Save
looks
a
perfect.
lot of
It's
money on
like, oh.
clothes because you could just get like shorts and never have to buy pants or
You would-
any other winter
You would
clothes.
think so, but people there are, are also very
Conditioned.
image conscious, and like, because
Oh.
Los Angeles is a very image conscious.
What?
Yeah, right.
No
Hollywood.
way.
So like, people are very into fashion. Like, I would say probably more so than Midwesterners. So they're very into like, oh, the new season's here. Let's get winter clothes just so we can wear it. It's like
Wearing parkas.
it's
at
like
70
60 degrees,
Yeah,
guys.
jeez.
Like you
Yeah.
don't need a coat.
Yeah, but to those conditioned guys, they think it's cold.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
it is kind of because they grow up in that, so
Yeah.
they've never been through a blizzard or anything. So yeah.
All right, and then all right.
Yeah,
let's
over
ask
to
you
me.
now.
All right. So until about the 6th grade, I lived in Redfield, South Dakota,
Okay.
which is about 40 miles away from Aberdeen.
Okay.
And then moved up there and lived there until I went off to
How big's
college.
Redfield? Very small.
It's pretty small.
Red or red?
Red,
Redfield.
like the color. Redfield.
Like a couple hundred or like less?
um,
Like a
a
couple
bit more
thousand.
than that, a couple thousand. I think.
Okay.
We had an Alco, we had a Pizza Hut.
Mm.
You know, we weren't.
We like to. I like to say like the first. If you go to a small town, they start with Subways and move their way up.
Yeah.
So if it's a Subway or a Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen. Yep.
Yeah, the
Yep.
Subways are attached to the gas station. So there's usually
Right.
a gas station with a Subway in it and a Dairy Queen, and
This was
it's about
pre-Subway,
1,000 to
but,
5,000 people.
but we
It's
did
bad.
have a Dairy Queen, and
Okay.
so yeah. I mean, we weren't complete rednecks, but I'm sure we weren't too far off.
The Dairy Queen's what kept you guys from being rednecks.
Well,
How do you feel about the Confederate flag and minorities? I like them. Did you get that Dairy Queen? It's fantastic. All right, sorry.
no, I'm sure I deserve it.
Stopping Dairy Queen. Stopping racism since 1937.
Right?
All right. Didn't mean to cut you off and kill your entire.
no, it's your podcast. You do what you want, man.
Really?
It's,
I couldn't,
it's your
I
world.
couldn't
I'm
give
just
views
living in it.
without guests, so it's barely my podcast. All right. So
So,
Redfield, you moved. You said 6th grade.
Yeah, around 6th grade, moved to Aberdeen.
Yeah. The big city.
and the big city, third largest in South Dakota,
Yeah, I heard
built
that
on a
recently.
swamp.
It
Great.
literally is. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh
Wow,
yeah,
that explains it.
yeah. If you love mosquitoes, Aberdeen is the city for you.
I
Um,
actually do.
That's your
there you
place.
go.
All right, you had to find the loudest toy. Come on. If I can't go on the table, I'm going to find the loud crackling toy. All right.
But yeah, my parents were for many years they were pastors.
Oh, wow.
So
Both of them?
Yeah, my dad was like the main pastor. My mom also had her pastor's license. I believe he was ordained and she had her pastor's license. If you ask me the difference between the two, I honestly don't really know.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the entire organization. So
Yeah.
I...
But mostly he preached and she led worship. And so in Redfield, we lived right next door to the church. We lived in the parsonage, and that was a unique experience growing up. It's definitely an interesting because your parents kind of belong to the congregation as well. So you have to share them with everybody.
Yep.
Your house is not necessarily your own,
especially being right next to the church.
Yeah.
I bet that was felt even more public to people who want to see them. They'll just walk right over it.
Yeah. But my parents were awesome. Love them very much. And had a pretty unexciting upbringing, I guess.
Small field pasture kids. Yeah, I mean pasture kid. Yeah, I could think of more exciting lives, but that seems pretty boring. But it also seems pretty chill. It doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
Seem bad.
No, I mean it was. You grow up in a loving family, so I can't like.
You probably didn't get to watch any slasher movies at a young age, or.
No, they were pretty well outlawed for a little while. But we got our fair share of things. My dad was big into sci-fi and stuff, so I got a really good appreciation for a lot of old B movies.
Oh, nice.
From him. So a lot of like Godzilla and all the James Bond movies, and then the Earth Stood Still, and those sort of classic flicks. So
like Silent Running, other weird.
Oh yeah, all that good stuff. But yeah, so we moved to Aberdeen, and I didn't really go through a phase where I hated my hometown. I don't know. I'm pretty relaxed.
So
Aberdeen was a bit different, but my teenage years all happened there.
Yeah.
So everyone around me is saying, "Oh, there's nothing to do here," and I'm like, well, there is.
Because you came from Redfield, maybe.
It's probably.
And you're like, well, this is great. There's a lot of other stuff to do, so you never had that sort of like. You're like, no, believe me, guys, it can get much worse.
Yeah. You guys have like 2 Dairy Queens.
Yeah, you guys have like.
Just gonna say that, damn it.
Oh, they do. Yeah, that might have been it.
This is a Burger King town. You guys do not know how good you have it. Well, actually, I spent very small but let's say impressionable time in Aberdeen because my first girlfriend ever was from there, and so there was like a really kind of horrible like 9th grade long distance relationship right before cell phones.
Oh wow!
So I'm talking calling cards, right wing calling cards, like right before they got phased out. So I was doing calling cards and then just calling her long distance, thinking my parents would notice.
10-10-2-20.
Yeah, I did that a lot actually. So and her family was very religious. I wasn't. So about 50% of all my church going experienes was with
her family,
her in Aberdeen and with her family. And I was like, so you guys just sing the whole time? All right, it's fine, I guess. And then what was it? Her mom, knowing that I was atheist, went and asked whatever, I don't know what he was, priest, pastor, I don't know what denomination they were, and she's like, hey, you might want to talk to him because he's an atheist. And I heard the guy go, why would I want to talk to an atheist? And I was like, yeah, that guy got it. I laughed.
I got more valuable things to do with my time.
He's like, I want to talk to somebody who doesn't want to talk to me. I thought it was hilarious. And I had to pretend like I didn't hear him. I was like, it was good. But I also had like a huge mohawk at like 16. And I was probably the worst person to just date somebody's daughter. I'm pretty sure they're like, let's take this guy to church. This guy sucks.
Right. We're either going to set him straight or scare him off. Let's do it. Yeah.
But I remember going to the Red Rooster there.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like the Red Raven here, but it's Red Rooster there.
Yeah.
I went to a comedy night there with her. It was pretty fun. Wrote in some notebooks. Yeah. And I remember like 5 or more years later, I went and they had way more notebooks, and I went through all of them looking for mine, and I drew a picture of Mitch Hedberg in it. It was still in there. Yeah. So I was like, I kind of want to rip this out, but I was like, no, let's keep it in.
It belongs to them. Oh, yeah, we had a lot of good times at the Red Rooster. The guy who owns it, and we had a psychedelic rock band for a few years up here. and performed with that a couple of times. Performed as a Kamikaze Snowman.
As this Kamikaze Snowman, that was one of the first. So yeah,
That was
I
probably
picked
the
up the
first
drums.
gig we actually had.
Yeah, I picked up the drums after I moved out of Aberdeen, and so I came back and we had a summer and we got together and practiced and we had my first gig, I think, as the Kamikaze Snowmen, the three of us
Terry
at
and
the
I-
Red Rooster.
At Red
Terry and I
Rooster.
had done it
Mhm.
before, but
Yep.
with the three of us.
And
yeah.
we were opening for our friend's band named Junebug, and they're out of.
So did you guys
Jamestown.
meet in Aberdeen, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yeah, we met there.
At what time? High school? Or
So yeah,
after?
this is we met in seventh
Junior high.
grade. So yeah, junior high. So this is our third member who lives in Colorado. He introduced me to Josh because I'd known Terry since kindergarten, and we were
Mhm.
best friends. And then he had met Josh in another class, and then we met each other. And we were making movies back then. So
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Michael, as I call him, Terry, he was always making movies. And so that's kind of how we met on the set of Midnight 2, which was the Batman-esque type movie, and I was Midnight, the hero, and so Trumbo played the villain, I think, or maybe
No,
you were just a bystander.
I was like, I was the rookie cop, kind of the rookie detective, kind of.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So like Terry was like the main detective because he
Right.
played like 3 roles,
Right,
and
Terry
it was
was-
also the director and
Yeah.
writer and editor and everything else.
Wait, how old were you guys for this?
We're like 7th grade, so
7th
like
or 8th was
what is
about
that,
the time we did Midnight.
12 or
Yeah,
13?
Yeah.
About the time we did that film.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
We
the
have
first
a
one
whole
we made.
bunch.
That
Yeah.
prestigious film.
Don't worry, yeah, the first one we made was in 5th grade, and yeah,
Oh,
again,
wow.
I played like 3 parts, but
We were just trying to be jackass with cameras. We were just breaking stuff.
see,
Yeah.
we were lucky
actually
that
do
hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in 6th grade when that came out. That ruined my entire generation.
Yeah.
For the better.
Yeah.
It was great. Okay, so tell me more about what 5th
Oh, yeah.
grade you and your buddy started making, and then he came into these
Yeah,
like little
Yeah,
films.
so we'd make
Yeah.
movies, and I think Midnight was basically Batman. If you remember 1989 Batman with
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, that was the big. So he just
Yeah.
took that and applied it to this character that we created called Midnight. It was no fun, but it was really fun to make. And he was making other movies, and by the time I think 7th grade rolled around, he decided he wanted to make a sequel to this movie called Midnight 2. And so then I don't even know if I don't think we finished it. I think it
Oh,
ended
no,
up being like
heavens no.
25 minutes. But
Well, it was partially started by the time I became friends with Terry, and we had started making other little shorts, and we all got together, but it was an ongoing project, even
Yeah.
though it hadn't been worked on for like 3 months.
We're still talking about
to the
it.
point
It's
that I
still-
came in.
We're working on Midnight.
Yeah.
yeah, we're
it
probably
was-
still working on it.
I was about to say it's probably still it's in production still.
You could have done like the Indiana Jones thing, where you see that somebody made a fan version of Indiana Jones. It was a shot-for-shot remake, and they started when they were in 7th grade, and then they finished it when they were in like their 40s.
Oh, that's
I haven't
fantastic.
seen
Yeah,
that.
and
I
you've
gotta-
seen their different ages.
Oh,
You've
wow.
never seen that? I've never
gotta
seen it
check that-
either, but it sounds amazing.
I gotta look
It's
that up.
essentially
Yeah.
a shot-for-shot remake that's just a giant love letter. Yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
But yeah, so get on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we should finish that movie. Yeah, so that was like, and I think the scene, like, he comes in, and I like am suspicious, and he runs up the stairs, and I like punch him in the face, and I think I punched you, and
Were
I
you
did all this
Midnight?
stuff.
No,
Yeah,
I
I'm
was-
Midnight.
Why are
was-
you beating up the cop?
Well, I don't even remember why.
Well, because the cop is trying to find out who Midnight is, and he finds out your secret identity.
Oh,
right?
that's
Like,
right. That's
No,
you do
my
find. Okay.
my whole role was like someone had been murdered,
Yeah.
right? Or there was some kind of crime that he was investigating, and so I like would come up, and the guy's like, investigating the scene, and I'm making this pose, thoughtfully rubbing my chin. He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm thinking." He says, "Well, think me up a banana cream pie," and I'm like, "Ooh," and I like run off screen. That was my role. I was
I
like
just remember I was running
comic
away
relief,
from
but
you.
not really.
I was running away from you, and I punched you at some point.
That's possible.
And then I
that we,
gave you
like,
some soup.
chased
I don't
you.
know why. You're eating
Oh,
soup for some reason.
Was that midnight? That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
I was
filming it out of
also.
order.
I was also. Some kind of. God, now things are getting mixed around. No, I'm thinking of a different short that we did. That was like the Dragnet parody. I think that we did.
Gets in a Dragnet parody?
Oh yeah, of course. Where yeah.
That's basically what we did. We'd hang out, we'd have a sleepover, you'd get the camera.
Yeah,
and start
yeah, no,
Just
it
for
sounds
shooting
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. For midnight, I was like sent to like kill you or something.
Yeah, I think so. And then I just annihilated you, which I thought
And
was
then you
great.
gave me like tomato soup because it was cold outside. I don't know.
Yeah, like I
See
beat
the-
you up and then I gave you soup. I'm like, tell me why you're here.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you're a good character. You're Midnight.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not a villain.
No.
And then the rookie cop makes a lot more sense for a Dragnet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick
That
me up
one.
some banana cream pie.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So how long did it
Classic.
take you to get into character? No, all right.
Oh, yeah, no, we,
tell me about your process.
Right from this.
I
movie
gotta
way
want
back then.
this soup. You
Yeah.
just punched me. All right.
I'm just glad this isn't tomato soup because I hate tomato soup.
Yeah,
We,
no,
like, poured orange
It
juice
was
in a
Kool-Aid,
bowl.
wasn't it? Like
No, it was orange juice with food coloring in it to make it red.
That's right.
That's
'cause
way
he-
worse than actual tomato soup, though.
Not for
Well,
him. He hates.
No, I mean it
You
was just
hate tomato soup?
yeah, I do.
That's what the podcast should have been.
he was
about.
very,
Right.
very picky. Even back, he's a
Oh,
lot less picky now.
I was super
back
picky,
then he was
super
very
picky.
picky.
You wouldn't know it to look at me in this manly physique that I have, but I was very picky eater. I just wasn't picky about chips and McDonald's.
I think that is a thing about a good upbringing. Is the better your parents were, the pickier eaters you are. I've noticed that because I like grew up very poor, and it was like you have to eat it. So
Oh, shit.
I learned. I literally thought until high school that if I weren't to eat something, it was because I was allergic to it. I didn't know that people just didn't eat things. It didn't make sense to me.
Oh,
so,
sure.
so I had a friend who was like, "Oh, I don't want tomatoes on our pizza." I was like, "Oh, all right," because it was like this big Italian pizza, and I was like, "Wait, you're not allergic to tomatoes? Like,
Yeah,
that's
there's
in
the
the sauce."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'm not allergic. I just don't like them." And I was like, "What are you fucking talking about? You just don't like food?"
That's an option.
It blew my mind. I just thought we just ate everything.
Second
Like,
only to the hills of Valley City.
yeah, that blew my mind too. Shit, it's like flat but not. Wow.
For a while, I just told people I was allergic to things just to get them off my back.
Yeah, to get him to back
Did
off.
you really?
Like, I would do it, but then they'd say, "Really?" And I'd be like, "No, not really." And then they'd just be like, "Oh," and that would just diffuse the situation right there.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you want some ketchup for your fries?" "No, I'm allergic to ketchup." "Really?" "No, I'm not. I just don't like it." I'd be like, "Oh,
I'm
okay."
allergic
Wait
to
a second. You
questioning,
don't like
too.
ketchup either?
I don't like
I
ketchup.
could have sworn you liked ketchup.
When I was young, I did for like a year.
Yeah, that's the year you're
Give me,
thinking of.
give me some ranch.
Yeah, I
That was before you knew me, actually.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow. So,
God, I thought I knew
are you a steak well done kind of guy too?
No.
All right,
God,
good, because
no.
I'm gonna kick you the fuck out.
What?
Jesus.
I didn't think ketchup was that much of a deal.
Yeah.
Right?
This is a ranch country though.
I don't even like. I like ketchup on specific like you have to have ketchup on McDonald's fries, and then on like certain burgers, and that's where I end it. My wife puts ketchup on a steak, and I have divorce papers half filled out because every time she does it, I get back on them. I'm like, all right, we're fucking ending this. Especially when I we go and buy a good cut and I put them on the grill and I'll like make a marinade and I'll work really hard on it and she just goes, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it.
Who needs to taste the steak?
Yeah, it's like
Let's
I
just
should have
cover
just
that
bought
up.
you the $3 sirloin and just
Now
did
you're-
it. Yeah,
Now you're thinking.
I should have done that.
That's what you do.
Do your strip for me, the $3 sirloin for you. Because
Right.
you put ketchup on it.
Exactly.
Because you're a psycho.
Well,
There
she
you
just
go.
won't. She won't care because it's gonna be doused
She
in
would have
ketchup
no
anyway.
I tell her it's the or the ribeye. She would
Yeah.
notice,
Yeah.
or the New York strip.
Exactly.
Anyways,
She doesn't listen to the podcast, does she?
oh no.
Or you should just
There
be
you
very
go.
upfront about it. I got myself the great cut, and you're getting that thing.
Yeah.
And here's your ketchup.
Yeah.
How to start an argument.
I mixed it half with Tabasco like you like she does that too, where she mixes it up. Anyways,
Oh, some hot sauce in
I
there.
really brought you here to complain about my wife.
Yes.
What she also doesn't do. No, I'm kidding. 3 weeks
That
ago,
would actually be a really good podcast.
just to bring random people
We're
in,
gonna interview
and
you, and then
complain.
it just turns into this big, long bitch session.
About the
Like,
interviewer's
And let me
wife.
tell you what else she does.
And it just makes the guests completely
Just like,
uncomfortable.
ah.
I would
Oh, I'm
watch
sorry.
that. If,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
I think if it was a sketch, if somebody did it like I don't know, I want to throw up Martin Short. If Martin Short did like a character that would just like really just complain about his issues to an interview, I would love to see like whatever, some random actor. I can't think of one right now. Just
Bradley Cooper.
yeah, like fuck Bradley Cooper, he sucks. But
It's great. Rocket Raccoon.
oh no, that's the only time I love him. Is I think he's great as Rocket Raccoon. I got this. All right, it's a very nitpicky. It's not fair. This isn't my disdain towards Bradley Cooper isn't fair. But there's an interview you can see. It was acting studio or inside the whatever where and it was what's his name? Sean Penn.
Mhm.
And everyone's like, oh, and get to the point where the audience can ask questions.
Bradley
And-
Cooper's in the audience.
Yeah, and no one knows who he is because he's just a film student. And he goes, yes, Bradley Cooper. And then he, like, asks the most pretentious fucking question ever. And I remember watching that, I was like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, and I still remember thinking that. So whenever I see Bradley Cooper, it's like, yeah, go ask Sean Penn another question, you pretentious ass. And I held it. Oh, there you go. He just came onto that table like a wrecking ball that time. And I've held it against him since then. So, but Rocket Raccoon is also 50% Sean Gunn's brother. Or Sean Gunn.
James Gunn's
James
brother,
Gunn's
Sean.
brother, Sean. Yeah, Sean.
Oh, like it's an impersonation of Sean?
No, Sean does the
he does the
physicality, and
okay.
and Bradley just does the voice. Although the voice is fantastic.
The voice is pretty good.
Mhm.
I mean,
it's
I
fantastic.
would never have been able to pick that was
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
It's such
Yeah,
a
I
good
do think
voice.
it's his best performance. Honestly, I think he's great.
I would agree with that.
All right, we're just gonna keep him up there. Screw it.
There's a
Right.
cat on the table.
Just don't pet him because he'll start attacking you, and then you'll make the table move
Oh,
even more.
that's what he wants.
Yeah, I know.
Look at him.
Just
He's sitting right in front of Paul like, do it. Come on.
fuck with me,
I
punk.
know you want to do it. You did it before.
Yeah, I think we should have named him again, like the name of a gangster because he like lives up to it. He's like Capone, huh? Let's do this thing. I'll just be a hellion.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, see? I know you want to pet me. All right.
Come on, Papa. You'll never take me alive.
So we almost made it to you guys forming, but then
Yeah.
we went on to movies. You guys were kids,
Oh, yeah.
which sounds awesome.
Well-
Which explains the whole. I can't believe you didn't think about getting into film right when you went out there. You went to LA and you're like, fuck it, creative writing?
Well,
Because they're
I
doing
was
movies when
pretty-
you're in fifth grade.
To be fair, I was really lazy. So,
Can confirm.
was very lazy. So
Wait,
the
an
amount
18-year-old lazy?
and,
No.
and going to the school I went to, there's a lot you have to do in order to get into film school. And I did not
Okay.
have a portfolio. I guess I could have leveraged Terry's flicks, but I don't think that would have got me in there. So I just didn't have that stuff put together. I just, it was enough to just even
Yeah.
get there and go to class.
Yeah.
I was not prepared to try to make anything of myself. I'll say that at that age, it just was beyond.
I was about the same. When I was in college, I was like, I went to art school. I just wanted to do drugs and fucking paint pictures.
Right,
Like, why are we learning how to write code in 5 different formats? What the fuck kind of art is this? I just remember thinking, like, how is this creative? Is it supposed to be creativity? Anyways, I hate design is what I'm trying to say. But, that's the point. All right. So let's get to the actual formation of the band. So this is after you came back?
Well, actually, we formed still in, was it high school or junior high?
All right. So, yeah. Terry moved away in late 8th grade.
So, yeah.
He went down south. His family moved down south to Mississippi.
Oh, wow. So he's
Um,
been moving this whole time.
He's been out and about.
Yeah.
And it was in the 11th grade, I want to say. 10th or 11th, somewhere between 10th and 11th grade, I think.
Okay.
I went down to visit him, and he was working on a short film for a contest.
Okay.
The film was called Paranoid, and it's a thriller. Kid wakes up and just suddenly everyone's out to get him. And
No.
you never know why. It's actually pretty cool. Like he
Sounds
goes to
pretty
school
cool.
and
That's cool.
he walks in the door and everyone turns and looks at him. It's super creepy and stuff. So he was working on that and finishing it up for this 8-minute film contest or whatever it was, and we were in the midst of that. So he was finishing editing that, and we started goofing around and just kind of mucking around with some songs and things, because he of course also composed the music for it and everything. We ended up, God, I still have no idea why he did this. It's this serious thriller action movie,
Yeah.
and we're just dinking around, and we improvise. He's playing on the piano and stuff, and got a guitar and whatnot, and lays down this track, and I'm just improvising a song about what happens in the movie. So I'm just singing this song. Yeah, I'm paranoid. Everyone wants to kill me, and it's just dumb. And we break down 2 verses into it because, of course, I said something asinine, and so he puts that in the end credits. It's going end credits.
Yeah.
And it's
It just
he
ended
still
very
has
suspenseful and then.
right. Well, it goes through and it does all the credits, but he had, so much time he could fill, and there was still about like a minute's worth of time at the end that he could do. So after like all the credits roll, there's like a black screen and this song kicks in.
So it was like an after credits scene.
Right.
Yeah, so you
just
were like
after credits song.
Nick Fury of
Exactly.
this.
I had an eye patch and it was great. So of course we're like, well, if we have this song, we have to credit it. So what's the band name? And the band name came from Terry and I were both doing. I stole the idea from him, but he had this stream of consciousness comic book that he was doing, where it's just he'd sit down and doodle, and it would just be this ongoing story that had no point or plot. It would just wherever he went.
Yeah,
I really liked the idea, so I started doing it
awesome.
too. Terry's an amazing artist. But I had fun doing it. And in mine, I had created Kamikaze Snowmen. Like at some point, the heroes just come across a band of snowmen with torches.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of those things that came
so
up.
So they're going to kill you with fire, but they'll also
melt
die
in the process.
Yeah.
And so we're throwing out ideas for names and stuff, and nothing's really sticking. And I start thumbing through the book, and I see that. I'm like, what about Kamikaze Snowmen? And it's one of those moments where we just kind of stop for a second. It's like, yeah, that's absolutely it. And so that's where the band officially started.
Yeah.
We could go back to the 7th grade when we were.
I'm glad you had a huge part of it.
Yeah. Back in the 7th grade, we one night started recording songs, improvising over demo tracks on a keyboard with such amazing titles as "The Polka Potty" and "I Want to Make You Into a Saddle." In parentheses, and "Ride You All Night Long."
Yeah.
We were in 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
It hasn't gotten much better than that. I don't know why I say it with such disdain. It's like, we were such kids back then. Look at our songs now. And it's like,
I listened to a few, so yeah.
Yeah, So we kind of had some stuff like that. And so the improvisation thing, we brought that back, so we had so much fun doing it. And that's where the band actually officially became a thing. And over the course of that week while I was there, we sat down and recorded other just random little sketches and songs and improvised stuff. And actually there was that. And then we all got together like the next summer.
Yep, we went down to Mississippi again. We made another movie. We kept making these movies. That's a different thing. What was that one called?
That was Rosebud.
Yes. So we
is that about a sled?
No,
but yeah. So it was an hour and a half long feature. So we took. I mean, I think we were down there for 2 weeks, right?
It might have been a week and a half.
So
or something,
So together we wrote, shot, edited, made this whole movie, and that's what we like to do. And that was the last big one we did. But then along with that, we would also improvise. And at that point, we'd been doing that for a while, where most of you guys would get together and improvise over guitar. A lot of Terry would have the guitar and just improvising lyrics and things like that. And it would always devolve into something funny. And I was mucking around on the keyboard with the drums.
Yeah.
I hadn't officially learned how to play drums yet at that point, but I was doing that part. And so we were making music then. And then, I think after that was after high school, so we all kind of went our separate ways. I think Terry went to Ole Miss for a while. You were in Moorhead, MSUM, and I went to California, right? So we're all doing our own thing. But then eventually Terry decided to move back up to Moorhead. So then, and him and Trumbo kept doing things, and they were doing a lot of stuff together, and they were like officially kind of being this band, the Kamikaze Snowmen, making albums and going and record, doing concerts, which I'll let Trumbo describe. But meanwhile, I'm out in LA, just like getting into the dark times.
Hating yourself.
Hating myself. And I'm seeing all this fun, awesome stuff that they're doing, and like all that creative energy, and like they're just having a whale of a time. And I get the CDs and I'd listen to them, and this is amazing, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, why am I here? So I'm done, and I just moved.
Yeah, and that's not going to help your depression in any
way. And so I just
well,
I'm coming with you. And so the Trumbo's was like, well, come on, we got a spot. And he, him and his 2 roommates, they let me stay in like what was the living room at the time, which was like just a room, smaller than this, and I just had my little room, and I stayed, and then I just made my home here.
Yeah.
But largely in part because of the fun they were having, and like that's what I want to do. It's just I don't care, just be creative and have fun and just do something, instead of like learning about doing something at the time, which was like where I was, I wasn't in a good spot to be there, so I moved back here. Yeah. But in the meantime, I'll let Trumbo talk about like what they did.
We the band went through a lot of changes during those years. It was all improvisational stuff for the most part. I started learning how to play guitar. I ended up buying a bass. So we slowly worked more and more instrumentation into it. So it was nice that Paul was learning how to play drums because it all kind of fit together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'd record stuff. I think it was shortly. No, it was actually my freshman year before Terry had moved up. I had ended up. We just had cassette tapes of the stuff we'd recorded, and so I played it for some of my friends, and they were like, "Oh, I want a copy." And it's like, "Okay, that's weird, but sure."
Mm-hmm.
And my roommate, my first college roommate, worked at the bookstore on campus, and so
Okay.
he had access. He worked in the Mac store,
Yeah.
and in the bookstore there, so he had access to all the computers and stuff there, and CD burning, which was a brand new thing at the
Brand new.
time, super huge deal. And so he's like, "Hey, if you get me the sound files, if you can get them, I'll
can
burn
just-
a CD
Yeah.
for you. I'll burn CDs for him." Like, that's crazy. So I actually managed to, hook up plug my my cassette player into my computer and go with the Windows sound recorder and actually record these songs, and we made CDs, and we actually sold some of these things, which still blows my mind. I have no idea why anybody would want any of those things.
Well, and they weren't marketed to be sold. They were just you guys
it was
effing
just
off, right?
exactly. It was just us screwing around. But people liked it, and I'm not saying we sold they didn't go
Well,
platinum.
there's
or
always
anything,
something
but
infectious about people enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah.
Is two friends in front of a microphone, even if they're not making jokes on paper, you're gonna feel their energy and everyone's gonna laugh.
Right.
And and there's that. I mean, like I always go back to Tenacious D, but that's what makes Tenacious D as good as it is, because you can tell they're actually best friends.
Mhm.
And that's why them just going, all right, let's go to the drive-thru.
Yeah.
Why that's funny? It's not because it's funny on paper, but because they're friends. You feel the energy.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. And it kind of spurred us on to do more.
Yeah.
So we ended up recording some more and putting out a few more albums, and we'd play at the Underground, which is Morehead State's little coffee bar that they had for many years.
Yeah.
So we played there and played a couple other coffee houses. We did the Red Rooster and such, and then Paul moved back, and I think about the time you moved back, Terry and I were still doing some things, but we'd kind of split off into some different. He was going, full tilt towards the movie stuff, getting more into digital editing and things, which was, again, very new at the time, or just becoming widespread, like actually affordable. So he was getting more into that, and, I was doing movies with the film students because I was studying film in the program at Morehead State, which Terry tried to get into but didn't really click with him. So I think that's kind of where that divide sort of happened. Was I had friends in that program, and it's not like they didn't like him or vice versa, but he didn't like the program, and so he separated himself from that and kind of separated from the rest of us that way. So I guess kind of a natural divide that happened there.
Yeah.
So then Paul came up, and we did some stuff together, some Kamikaze Snowmen things, but then we ended up, like I said, we formed that psychedelic rock band with a couple other friends of ours, and we kind of went down that path for a while. We'd still get together with Terry every so often, and we'd record a little thing here and there, or just kind of muck around and do that. But Kamikaze Snowmen actually kind of went away for
after college, basically.
Yeah.
You have to tell them about the Winter Bash.
Oh, good Lord.
That was the show that I heard about. That made me go, well, I'm going back.
All right, so Kamikaze Snowmen, and we'll get into more of this as we get going, because the band itself, in terms of performances and things like that, has gone through a lot of evolution. As we became more willing and wanting to refine it, things changed quite a bit. So in the beginning, when we play a show, we would try to find some sort of gimmick or shtick that we wanted to do that night. So it was very this is what we're doing tonight.
So we're making jokes about this.
Yeah. Very Andy Kaufman-esque kind of thing.
Okay.
So there's a thing that they did at Morehead State called Winterfest. And I believe it's that there were classes in the music department where people would actually form bands, or they'd have bands.
Yeah.
And that was a chance for them to go and play then after a semester of, rehearsing and detailing your progress and whatnot. So the local radio station, which we had a radio show for a while, and we knew people at the campus radio station, was hosting it. And so because of them, we got invited to open the whole thing. And so we said, what are we going to do at this show?
You guys are going to open the big winter
Right,
bash.
it's in
the
the
big winter
ballroom
bash. These are all-
at the college.
And this is not like a couple of your friends. This is the whole...
This is like the class and everyone that's been invited there and professors. And, you know, it's not like it was packed,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever, but it was an actual like campus event,
Mhm.
right? So we decide what we're going to do since it's Winterfest. We're going to go up in full winter garb. Like,
Makes sense.
we went and bought
Yeah.
ski masks and
Yeah.
have our gloves and our coats and like snow pants and
Yeah.
boots and everything, which of course you can't play a guitar
No.
while you're wearing these things. And we overdid the muffling of the voice, but we basically got up there, and the very first song we did was just this horrible plinking goes because you can't, you know,
You couldn't
that's
play
the sound.
with
It's like when you play Guitar Hero or Rock Band or something and you
when
miss the
you're
notes.
missing.
And
For
we just
like
get up there
2
and we
minutes.
get up and like we did an entire song. Like it was actually a song of ours, but
But no one could tell.
you know, just like that. In addition to this, since the stage was set up for multiple bands to play, there was
Yeah.
a drum kit up there. And so beforehand, we're standing around talking, and we're just like, "Man, it's too bad we don't have a drummer that would make it
Yeah.
complete." And there was some guy who was part of setting up the event or something. He's like, "I can play drums." And we're like, "Do you want to play drums with us?"
And he had
He had
no clue.
never heard any of our songs.
Nothing. Oh.
I don't know why he agreed to it.
Oh.
Hilarious. So he's up there just trying to drum along to this this nonsense. And you look out at the crowd, and there's this. You can't see it on the podcast. This is terrible podcasting, but this look.
Just confused.
Yeah.
Just this confused, like, what's happening? You know, just. And the people
And no
from the
one got
radio
it.
station sitting in the back at their table just going, you know, just doubling over because they get it. They know
Okay,
us.
they got it.
And so we did that, and then after like the first song, we took off the gloves and stuff, and we played. But we
Yeah.
still had the drummer who hadn't
had
heard
no clue.
our songs, and our songs are not exactly the most accessible, at least at that point in time,
For drummers.
for the
Anybody?
audience.
Oh,
If they
yeah.
have no idea what's coming,
Ah.
because like I said, we haven't refined any kind of an act. There now we
Yeah.
have ways to like bring people into it.
It was
and stuff.
essentially a big long sketch that you kind of
Yeah.
had a little bit of
Absolutely.
structure, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so we did that, and we played like 6 songs or something,
Mm-hmm.
and to tepid applause, quite literally at the end, just
was there? I want to picture one dude loving it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was there
in
one
the
guy
back.
like, yeah?
Yeah, in the back. Yeah, and
like
that's.
I said, the
I
radio
would-
station people dug it.
I would
They're-
say the spirit of the Kamikaze Snowmen is that concert because, like, I think through so many other
Two-
events and
Two
through the other
guys
things
getting
we've
it,
done,
and 30 confused.
I think
Yeah,
we've
pretty
become
much.
more accessible. I think we've been able to tweak our jokes and stuff so that, you know, we can make rooms laugh and all that stuff
Yeah.
and tailor to the audience. But like the spirit of the Kamikaze Snowmen is
Yeah.
that moment repeated. For me,
Yeah.
it's always been that is like the story that I think encapsulates like the
and if-
spirit
And we
of
did
what
that
we,
for that sort of thing for years, not quite to that degree,
Yeah.
but we had a show where Paul just had a lobotomy.
yeah.
And so he comes on stage and like he
Jeez.
just comes up there, he had like some weird teeth or something. We
Yeah.
had got it out of a vending machine. And so he just sat up there the whole time and we had like this toy conga drum.
Yeah.
And he's just in there just hitting it. And eventually it's just like we said something and it's like he got upset about something, you know, it's just like just punches his hand through the drum and we're just
Oh, jeez.
that was that happened like so Terry and I are actually playing the songs and stuff, but we have Paul just like you know, moaning in the background because that was the gag for that
was the
show.
gag for that show. We did one where
It was very. Yeah, I thought you were taking the piss out of me when you said Kaufman,
Yeah.
but it was very like,
Oh, yeah.
It was all right. They're not gonna get this, but let's do it. Like, this is for us.
Yep.
we
absolutely.
always have that, but I think we have a little bit more wisdom now to try to tailor it to let more people in on the joke. But certainly back then, like it was like
Oh.
that amuses us, so we're going to do that. And
yeah.
It'd
people
be funny
may or
if
may
we
not.
just kept pretending the instruments are scared. Sorry, guys,
Well,
and then
yep.
make a guy. Yeah,
And
that
I
was-
wanted to. This idea got shot down, but I wanted to come up there because it was underground unplugged.
Yeah.
To play at the underground, and people would come up there with electric instruments and plug them in. Right? Like that's not unplugged. So what I wanted to do was bring our electric instruments
But
and not
unplug
plug
them.
them in.
Yeah,
Like
unplug 'em.
mic them.
Yeah.
So you have a microphone on these steel strings. I wanted to do that, but it got shot down.
It would be really
That
funny
idea
if you
got shot
tuned
down.
and got ready, but then unplugged it.
Yeah.
Because it's unplugged, like, all right, we're ready. Dude.
Get the microphone over. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. I did cut
Yeah.
you off a minute ago. You were going to say something. I can't remember what it was.
No, just the spirit. I think we've done other things like that. The other one was where I think, and we did this at a comedy club, and the premise was that Josh gets up there and he's like, "I'm sorry, everybody," because our whole thing, our whole bit is Josh is the straight man, I'm the idiot.
Yeah,
and
that's what
he's
we kind of come to.
Yeah, he's just permanently annoyed with
That
my
was a bit?
existence. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then he comes up there and he's got like there's like my picture and there's like I think a
vase
flower,
of flowers,
vase
yeah.
of flowers, and he's like, "I'm sorry, we couldn't, Paul couldn't make it. There was a tragic accident," and so he starts the whole thing solo. And about I think like 4 minutes in, I come stumbling in there and I'm just shredded. And we had makeup on me. I'm just bloody. I'm a road rash mess. And I'm like, goodness, Josh, like, oh, thank God. Thank goodness. I made it. I don't know how I fell out of your car. You were going really fast. That was the whole bit. And he's like, "Oh, gee, good to see you."
Didn't you hear me? I was running after you. I'm like, "No."
You were supposed to not make it.
Yeah. So we still have moments where we like bits like that, and we'll center a whole show around it.
Do you guys still do that where you want to break the norm and do something really crazy? You guys will still.
I think with everything we try to do, we try to lend something with that. I don't. I think our comedy show is relatively refined, but I think even if we're asked to do, like we were asked to do Anime Fargo, and we couldn't just go up, and that's like you're hosting an event, right? You're an MC for an event. We didn't just want to get up there and just read the slide and do our thing. So we decided to do a different take on it, where Paul got a hold of the slide and he made his own thing. So I did all this other animation on it. So whatever it is that we're trying to do, I think we try to like add our own flair to it, or what we feel would be fun for us and as well as the audience. So I think that spirit still lives on in what we do.
And a lot of it depends on the style of show we're doing as well.
Yeah.
So our typical show, typical in quotation marks, is, we found an audience at comedy clubs and also at nerd conventions and things like that. But like the typical comedy band, comedy club sort of show, we do have that vaudeville-esque sort of straight man and buffoon kind of thing going, where I'm the authority figure and whatever. I'm annoyed with what he's doing, and he foils it just by being an idiot.
You correct him a lot. He gets words wrong. You say, no, that's actually depository.
Exactly.
I got it.
And so we string together the songs with these little bits. So it's not just us getting up and now this song is about, and we do that from time to time. It's like, here's a song about this, and we go and play it. But we also have these things where it's like, okay, we have this whole thing about social media that leads into this song, and we, where it goes into, I'm talking about social media, and I say Facebook, and he's like, oh, the Necronomicon, because of factor in, like, Facebook. Oh, I see the Necronomicon, and so we do that kind of thing, but then we tailor a lot of stuff. So if we do things like an open mic or something, we might do more of those little bits, like the car accident,
experimental stuff, probably,
right? Because we're just getting up, we're going to play like one song, because that's all the time you have at an open mic, and so it's kind of fun to play with that more instead of having to base an entire 45-minute set on this one gag. We don't do that as much anymore, but we find ways and times.
Do you guys get multiple different types of venues and then switch it up? So, like, as you already said, like, if you do like the Valicon or a nerd convention, and then a comedy show, or a comedy club, do you also do, normal, like a bar or something like that, or some venues
That's one thing that probably that we wouldn't do
as much,
because we've spent years in our little our Cosmic Kibosh band where we played, and we played bars, and we've done that, and after that I played in another band, and we did bars all over the place, and we're very familiar with the bar scene and with bar playing music, and we're definitely not that band. Like it would be very uncomfortable, I think, if we had a gig
especially those places are not there to watch.
We're not.
You guys are on the side, and you're here trying to be very involved.
Yeah, and we're not going to play top 40 hits. We're not going to play music you're going to have to pay attention.
Half those shows aren't even going to be music.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. It'd be, imagine if you went to a bar and a stand-up comedian was there, just on a normal Friday night.
Yeah, it would be weird.
Yeah, it doesn't work out.
And plus, our set, I think the longest set, I think our sets are really good in that 30 to maybe 50 minute. I mean, 50 minutes would be, I think 30 minutes, like really great length for us to do our thing. Whereas like, bar bands, you're paid to play 3-4 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
We could do like a showcase and have a whole thing. And we've done things like that where we have comedy showcases, we have other people there.
Yeah.
Bring in other comedians, then you can stretch that out to an hour and a half, 2 hours, have lots of comedians, have a whole night of it. And then but you have to make sure that the event is right and that the staff understands, the noise has to be down because it's a comedy club and not like a musical act. But so.
And then any of the other kind of, other just music venues and around town, do you guys try to hit up those a lot, or do you really just try to keep it to specific comedy venues opposed to music venues?
I think we're open to doing those sort of things. We're definitely. I don't want to say that we're not driven because we do work hard at the things we do, but given that we both have families and stuff,
we've had opportunities to do stuff like that too. Like when, like you mentioned, Tenacious D, Kyle Gassman came to town, which is KG from Tenacious D, and we got open for him.
That's awesome.
So
which is fantastic.
We got to do that because we did another gig. During when Force Awakens came out, which is episode 7 of Star Wars. They wanted to do they wanted to do a big party at an aquarium, and they wanted some hosts to kind of host it and do that. So we just like, well, we can come up with something, and we wrote a song about Star Wars, and we had our other geeky material as well, and then they had like people there displaying their lightsabers and having battles and stuff, so we were like emceeing that whole thing, and because we did that, when KG came to town, they tapped us and asked if we want to do it. Like, we think it would be a good match. Plus, we were like just 2 guys, and it's acoustic, and it's going to be, KG was bringing a whole band, and it's like really rocking music, and so it was a really good dynamic. So, that was a time where that was a true musical show, and people were there to see music. KG and music, but it worked very well, and they loved us. Like, we had really good response. And it went over very well.
Also, how many people there knew KG band opposed to how many people there knew KG from Tenacious D?
Right.
Yep.
And they were there, they essentially, not that your guys' humor is anything like Tenacious D's humor, but it is comedic, 2-men acoustic stuff.
Yep. There's a connection there.
Power duo.
So like I would think if Weird Al, if the opportunity ever came up to open up for Weird Al or something, like that would be another that would be another musical event that we would fit right into. But like we're not gonna go. I don't know. I mean,
I have no idea how to get in touch with him.
I don't know who else would, what else would work. For
I did on his last tour through when he did the stripped down.
Oh, you gave him the CD, right?
No, that was.
Did you guys go to that one?
I did, yeah.
I was too busy working, or we didn't have money for it. That was it. They sold out, and it was very spendy. But didn't Emo Phillips open for him?
Yeah.
That is such a fucking dream. I love Emo Phillips so damn much.
I wasn't going to be able to make it, and so I put a feel sad for me post on Facebook, and a friend of mine's like, if I get you a ticket, will you go? And I'm like, yeah,
dude,
and they did, and it was.
I wish I had the thought to put out a feel sad for me post because I really wanted to go. I think right when we first heard about it, because me and my wife both really like Weird Al. And then I was like, all right, let's get tickets. And we looked, and there were like $100 and something bucks that far out. And I was like, there's no, what? We can do this right now? And I think money was tight. We were about to buy a car or something. We had some type of like, if it was $30, we definitely could have went. But like $100 a ticket, we couldn't go. And then after I wasn't able to buy the tickets, I found out Emo Phillips was opening for him. And I was like, fuck, fuck this world, man.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was still doing comedy, so just really pissed me off.
It was
amazing.
I don't want to rub it in, but it was a really good show.
Rub it in. You didn't take my ticket away, so I'm not gonna get mad at you, man. I'm not your ass.
I did go on Twitter and post something about, I'm beginning to think that Weird Al, and tag him. I'm beginning to think Weird Al isn't going to ask us to open for him. I knew it wasn't going to get me anywhere, but just in case.
Who are you guys? Now that you mention it.
Yeah. No, but as Paul mentioned, I did actually give a CD to his bass player.
Nice.
Back when they played the Civic.
Wow.
In
2000
or 99.
probably, or
99 or 2000.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Which, definitely wasn't our best work, but it was, and my friends convinced me to no, just bring the CD just in case you get a chance to hand it to him. And then Steve J, his bass player, came out and signed autographs and stuff. I got his autograph. I'm like, you're going to give him the CD? And I'm like, I don't know, man, that feels weird. And they're like, no,
sign this and keep it.
Do it. Just give it to him. Right. So I caved into peer pressure. I felt so bad because I went over, and he was talking with people and signing some more autographs and stuff. I'm like, hey, just here, take this if you have a chance, listen to it, just whatever. I wasn't asking anything of him. And he gave me this look like, what the hell is this? And I'm just like, oh, don't hate me. He probably has no idea, doesn't remember. But to me, it
also
was
there are a lot of times they can't even legally look at them.
right.
Yeah, and that's something
Right.
I didn't know until recently, but I listened to a lot of comedians talking to other comedians about comedian stuff, podcasts, or Opie and Anthony or Sam and Norton or whatever, and I can't remember who it was, but they were discussing people who have really good jokes, and they send them like, "Hey, here I got a joke for you," and they'll do it over Twitter, and they're like, "I can't even read this because if I don't want to buy them from you, and I say something that you think and in any way reminds you of that joke, and I read it, you now can sue me.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you I'm not looking at it, nothing, because they can't legally be open for that lawsuit.
Right.
And it sucks both ways because I bet they would love to look at other people's shit, but they don't want to put themselves in a legal bind for it. I'm not saying maybe it was something like that. I don't know.
It could have been. I honestly have no idea if he just chucked it afterwards or if he actually listened to it at some point.
Or if he was like,
"Hey
man, I thought you were cool.
Right.
Now I don't."
Yeah. It might have all been in my head, but I swear he looked at me just like, "You're filth." It's just
You're filth.
I felt so bad after that. My buddies are like, "Yeah, that was awesome, man." You did it. And it's like, "Yeah,
Dude,
it was
filth.
We should make a skit out of that.
Oh God.
And you can be the bass player.
Yeah, right.
I can. You're filth. You disgust me. What? I hate you. Wait, what? Just calm down. It's just a CD.
Like you're trying to pitch new songs to him. Like, hey, I wrote some of my own songs, and he's like, "Well, you're handing them to me." Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I can see that. I do love that he's like, "Hey, there's this moment that really hurt," and you're like, "We should make a sketch out of that."
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, fuck you.
My pain is his gain.
My pain. It's everybody's gain.
Yeah.
It's our
The
game.
world is better for it.
The world is better.
So somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to be the scapegoat. All right. Where are we? I was gonna ask. So I listened to a little bit of your guys' stuff. It's not. I mean, honestly, I knew about it. I talked to you guys. One of you guys on Facebook. I can't remember.
It's probably me.
It was you. All right. I talked to you on Facebook, and it was probably a week ago, I think. And I worked pretty much nonstop from this, and I wasn't really able to dive in. And last night I wanted to stay up a little bit because I have to switch my sleep schedule. I work at a factory. It's crazy.
Oh, sure.
So I got to stay up all night tonight. So the fact we're doing this at 10 or 6 p.m., I was like, fuck yeah, I can stay up the night before and I can push it. So anyways, I found a YouTube performance of an entire show.
Oh, no.
From 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it was actually pretty good. And you guys did Presidents, which I heard before the President's Day saying.
Yep.
But I did want to ask, so how much of it is improv of your guys' back and forth? Because I'd say, at least from what I could get from that show, and then I watched some other music videos you guys did from 7-8 years ago again, what I could tell, about 50% of it was back and forth jokes, and then you guys' music, and even in the middle of songs, you'll break, say a couple things. How much of it's improv? How much of it is a script? How loose is the script? What do you guys want to? What would you say?
I'd say quite a lot of it now is scripted in terms of when we have the breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
But we definitely keep it loose and we give ourselves space to play around with it.
Yeah.
So probably the best example that we can give is we have this song called Male Pattern Baldness.
Yep, I heard that one. Yep.
Yeah, it's a great intro song because it helps define our characters. Him just being my foil.
I think that was the one you guys even opened with on the live performance I saw.
Yeah, it was probably at the Sauce, I'm
Probably
guessing.
at the Sauce,
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That was a great show. That was Super Bowl,
a really good show.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, yeah, it
down
was.
in the cities.
Really?
But people came out and they loved it.
Yeah,
and then we had a great time. And then we
never played a show in the city since.
Yeah, we didn't.
We had intended to, and we just never quite.
Well, anyway, that show was great. And then we got back to our hotel and we played Arkham Horror for 4 hours.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
it was a great
fantastic.
It's about how I spend my. All right, that was really fun. What do you want to do? A really involved board game?
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. Let's do it. We do that a lot.
But yeah, so Male Pattern Baldness, and the idea of the song is that Paul starts singing the lyrics as though they're about me. Because of course I do have some hair loss, and it's again my pain.
You're saying I or we, and he's saying he and him.
Right. I'm singing as the character in the song, and he's singing it. Josh is losing his hair. Yeah. And so I of course get irate with him, and so we have the basic structure of that, you
Yeah.
know, but it's different, slightly different every
Yeah.
time.
Well, he could throw out something, and you're not going to be like, dude, what the hell? You're going to work with it. You guys have that. And knowing each other as long as you guys have, I bet you have a very good chemistry and rhythm. That's what I was looking for, rhythm, where either of you could make a specific joke, and the other guy can run with it and keep it at least.
Yeah, I think the
for the most
funnest
part,
part,
funny.
the most fun parts we have are probably when the practice before the show, and like one of us will do something or go off on some tangent, and we'll just lose it, and then we try to remember what those moments are, so we can recap. Well, we oftentimes work those into shows.
That's good.
Because those are moments I think that like really translate. Like if we're busting out laughing a lot
or
of
we'll
times,
steer clear of them because they're well outside.
Right, they're more
the actual.
that could be too.
We're laughing, which means they probably won't get it.
Yeah, like we have. There's obvious
or it's
boundaries.
out of character.
It's out of character. It
something,
doesn't make sense, but it's still funny.
Like,
but we still have those moments, and every once in a while we'll have a moment. Yeah, where I'll make him chuckle or something, or we'll break character. Yeah, and that's like. That's like the best part. That's fun. That's like a great moment.
The audience will go with you on those when it's like just something unexpected happens, and you kind of break a little bit, and people enjoy it. If you do it every show, then people get tired of it. It's like that season of SNL when
Jimmy Fallon broke
and like every single sketch is just like, oh, God, be a professional.
Speaking of famous people, I just hate. I hate Jimmy Fallon so much. Whenever he has like an actual talented comedian on his late night show, like Bill Burr, I love Bill Burr, and he'll have Bill Burr on, and Bill Burr will say something slightly inappropriate, and you see Jimmy Fallon like, oh no, it's thoughtful, I can't handle this, and then he like tries to push away. He's like, no, and I was like, dude, just go with it. What are you supposed to be a comedian? Anyways, I hate Jimmy Fallon, but he has Rhett and Link on sometimes, and that's amazing. So
Rhett and Link, nice.
Yeah, he'll have them on a show and do like their own sketch, but he'll join in. But again, they're really talented, and he's not, so you can tell. Anyways, so I'm glad I could get these out. Jimmy Fallon, who else? Bradley Cooper.
We're making all sorts of breakthroughs here. This is great. Resolving Paul's taco burrito conflict.
Yeah. Working through my late night.
Your demons of famous people.
All right, we're doing pretty good, actually. I should have paused it when you got another beer, and now I feel like we don't have enough time anyways.
Yeah,
that's what I get.
Shotgun them.
Fucked it all up.
Bring out the beer bong.
Well, I'm already at my house, so I can do that. I was like, all right, guys, shots. All right, get out of here. See ya. You like driving. It's not that easy. All right, I had a couple more things. So, do you guys? I think I might have already asked this, but do you guys still try to be every once in a while have a really high concept? Why don't we just try something crazy this day? You guys still do that now, or is that more of an old school thing?
No, we have. We've had the fortune of working with some very cool people at these conventions. And they basically, we've gone in there, we've gained their trust, and so they turn us loose most of the time. And we still run things past them to be respectful. And say, here's what we're going to do. But one of the more recent things we did was not this past September, but the last year's Anime Fargo 2017.
Okay.
We actually put on a show called Presolution.
Yep.
Kamikaze Snowmen's Presolution, a tour through the Hall of Presidents of the Universe and also the United States. Or I think that was the tagline to it. And so it was an actual show that we strung together with songs. And the idea was, I don't know if you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World.
I actually haven't, but
there's
I know what it is.
In the Tomorrowland area, there's a ride called the Carousel of Progress.
Okay.
And the whole conceit behind it is, and it's something that's been around since, the 40s?
I think the 40s. They unveiled it at the World's Fair.
Yeah.
Yep, the Carousel of Progress specifically is one of their oldest rides. Yeah.
Right. And so there's an animatronic family. The dad is narrating, and it's like kind of a Walt Disney analog, and he basically says, well, here's what things are in the 1950s. Jimmy's out there flying a kite, and Susie will never get a job that pays as much as a man. Whatever it is that they say. And then the whole thing is strung together with this song. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and you sit in this theater, and the theater actually revolves around the different set pieces.
So then it goes to the next decade, the 1960s,
now it's the 60s,
and then it cuts into like what will the 2000s be like, and it has like this 1940s view of what the 2000s would be, which is great. it's like
it's amazing.
It's and they've updated it through the years, and it's an endearing kind of relic of Disney that fans really love. But yeah.
So we based the show around that, and the whole thing is me like educating Paul with very wrong information about how we came up with the presidency and the electoral college.
It's almost as if my character's dreaming and dreams up this resolution.
Right.
So your character is almost like, well, I'm learning things because Josh is telling me, but Josh is obviously saying all these things.
Yeah. And so we like go back in time.
So
we have this
history wrong,
right?
And we have this time travel song that brings us through different ages, like the important points in history. It's like, here's the beginning of the world, and then now we're in feudal Japan. And the only way you could tell the different time periods is we had different lamps.
Yeah.
So basically what we did is we looked around at the different lamps we had, and we based everything around that.
Okay.
So there's like a regular modern day lamp, and then you go back to the beginning of time, there's no lamp. And then we fast forward to feudal Japan because we have like this lantern kind of looking lamp.
Yeah.
And there's, I don't know, went into animal husbandry for some reason. Like it's all just.
Whenever he asks too
many questions, we just go into a song basically. So we went to the Great Depression, the Roaring '20s.
That's when the president sent the clowns in to make everybody happy again.
Yeah, after the Great Depression. So we just had the lamp with a bottle of moonshine next to it, And in the '60s we had a lava lamp, and then we ended up accidentally going too fast into the future because Paul was too excited, and so he sings the song too fast, and we warp way into the future, the year 2020. Where Murder Ball is running for president.
Murder Ball.
And so we have to sing the song backwards to go back in time.
And then, like, we actually had somebody holding, like, on a fishing line, Murder Ball. And it was, like, this giant, like, and we took this old beholder, which we'd used for a prior video, and, like, covered it in tinfoil. And it's like, oh, my God, it's angry. Why would anybody elect Murder Ball as president?
Yeah. And so then we give, like, this...
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And so we give, like, this message at the end. It's not really a message, but it kind of is, and just, like, basically warning people that, it's just the folly of only paying attention to the things that solidify what you already believe, and how people treat social media now, where it's
what was Murder Ball's platform? Wasn't it the Presolution to all your problems?
Yeah, we actually have bumper stickers. We made bumper stickers.
Yeah, we actually have bumper stickers. So like that's what we'll do. We'll come up with a concept, and then
it's so high concept.
Yeah,
we'll merchandise it, and we'll perform it.
We had someone like all black with a headset on, like they're backstage of the theater, even though we're just in a room.
Yeah,
there's no curtains or anything behind it, so they're like walking around with the murder ball on a stick,
And that's one I think we could actually. I would like to if we actually did like a small tour of Presolution, but who would come see that?
Now, what's the percentage of people who get it?
I would say for that one,
pretty good.
That one probably most of the people.
Now
those are people who probably know us and are more familiar, but the concept was so kind of. I mean, you pretty much understood it.
Yeah.
It was said in a way that you could understand.
Well,
so I don't think
even just hearing, I get your point.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and but again, I think if I saw it, and especially if I didn't know what I was walking into, I would have been even more confused at hearing about it.
The weird thing is this was done at an anime convention.
Yeah.
This has absolutely nothing to do with anime.
Right.
But God bless them. They're just like, go nuts.
Yep.
What year was this? Was this after
2017?
All right, 17.
Just a year ago. And it actually turned out to be really well received, and like it was a great show.
If you did it all before the 2016 election, no.
Oh yeah, no.
No, it was clearly And I think that just came across as like, I mean. So we incorporate things that we just find funny in everyday life. I can't remember who said Presolution, but I think you were over my house.
You came up with the word Presolution.
Did I really?
The whole thing came from.
Hilarious.
We were Paul had my family and another family over for grilling earlier that summer, and we were all sitting around, and someone, I don't remember how it led into this, but someone said, "What would the internet smell like?" And this other friend that was there said, "Ignorance and bacon." Which spurred on. We're like, oh, that sounds like a song.
So that's why we have a whole album called Ignorance and Bacon.
Yeah. So we wrote the song Ignorance and Bacon about basically someone trolling online, and so it kind of all sprung out of that in some form or another. It's really weird to follow the trail of how some of our things come about.
Do you guys like to keep a lot of the same catalog each time, or do you really evolve and your songs completely change and you guys move on, or
as far as like song structure, or
both? But essentially your guys is like if I were to go to a show 10 years ago to go to a show now, am I going to hear at least one of the same songs, or is it going to be like this isn't even close to the same band?
You would probably hear a few songs, I imagine, from even 10 years ago, because like President's Day, that's an old song that's been around since years.
Like the one I can find the most of.
But as far as the refined, like I think stage, you know. The whole thing with President's Day, and including the end. I mean, we have a whole bit at the end how it devolves, and so like there's a lot of stuff to the song that's been added over probably the last 3 or 4 years. So the song would be the same, but it would be performed very differently. Yeah. It would be a different version.
And your guys' banter might change.
And that would very much change. Yeah. Like the song itself would probably be the same, but the stuff around it and the jokes that surround it would be very different.
Some of our songs that either don't age well, haven't aged well, or they're just not right for this climate. You know, the example we give there is there's a song of ours that's been wildly popular for many years, and a lot of people still really like it, but we don't really perform it live. It's called The Woman's Theme. Okay. And it's this stated, over-exaggerated song about female stereotypes. It's basically I'm singing the part of the woman.
I was just going to say, that's the one where it's your... Yeah. All right, you guys have to pretend I'm a female, and then you sing it, and it's very much... How come you're not this?
And, you know, depending on what audience you play that for, a bunch of dude bros are going to be like, that's exactly what women are like. They're hilarious. And the people who really get it are like, oh, they're making fun of those guys who think those things. But, you know, right now, with the climate, people might get the joke, but they still won't think it's appropriate to do, you know, because it's like it just doesn't quite fit.
And to be fair, we wrote that song when we were like 18 or 19 years old, and it was in direct response to, like, I don't know if you know who Lisa Loeb is, but she writes songs.
Sarah
McLachlan, like female writers, and like some of their stuff at the time, the criticism was more about how like those songs seemed very vague and like literally some of the songs are just so it's just like feeling. You should know what's you know, and that's what the song about was in contrast to some of those to sort of like pick on the songwriting aspect. Yeah. Well, that's completely lost now. That context, nobody understands that. Yeah. So like, you know, and so we've adapted the song as much as we could. I think made it fun and funny, but now it's just like
it definitely seems it's not like go over well. Even if you get a couple people who are gonna get it, it is just that little risky.
Well, and it's just kind of. We're just done with it. Yeah, you know?
But also, you guys have been doing music for so long that I could understand. I'm not going to say the same jokes I do now, 15 or 10 years, and you guys are still doing a lot of the same.
And that's just it. Is you don't want it to be a crutch. You don't want it to be like, okay, whatever we do, we'll always fall back on this song. You know, because it's like, no, you got to work to make the other songs work.
And there's also the passion. If you guys are just doing a song because you feel like you have to each show, it's gonna people are gonna read that they don't give a shit about this song, and it's not gonna be fun for you, which won't be fun for them. And so as soon as you guys stop feeling a song, or if it's even got a little bit of, you ditch it.
Whatever. Like one of our favorite songs that we wrote, I think we wrote it. It's called "Too Fat to Fly," and we tried it live numerous times, and it just never went over. It didn't matter if I did falsetto, if I did a different way, if I did this. It just never made any sense. And I think, you know, maybe the song itself doesn't make any sense, and they're just like, well, we're just gonna stop doing it.
I still want to make a Chick Publications type track. Are you familiar with the Chick tracks? Those little religious pamphlets that's like, this was your life, and it's some guy and he goes to heaven and he gets judged, or you know, there's like Dungeons and Dragons is the devil. And You know.
I had a really crazy aunt who sent me an entire bag of those when I was in college.
Nice.
And I was like, got any money?
Trumbo used to collect them. I think.
I had a couple. I have a friend who collected them quite religiously.
She had favorites, which scared the shit out of me. And she's like, "Oh well, you should read the funny guy," because I was like a funny guy, and it was like this dude who's like, "You like this sunglasses that makes my nose big? Well, you'll like blowing me," and it was like, what the fuck? Like this guy was using humor to get sex, and that's so evil. And
then your aunt gives you that.
I was like, you like this one? What the fuck are you talking about?
Is anything that speaks more to the person giving you the publication? Giving it to, it's the chick.
Or I think there was all right, sorry, I'm not going to go off a big weird religious propaganda shit, but
Too Fat to Fly came about because of there was a whole thing where Kevin Smith went off.
I was just going to say, is this a thing about Kevin Smith, or is it some random thing about a fat bird? I don't know.
We thought that was something worth doing, but when we start writing songs, sometimes it just doesn't make sense to focus in on a specific thing like that, because we don't want to come off as we're making fun of people who are overweight and people who have gone through this and whatever. We're not trying to make a stance on anything like that. So instead, the song is about a overweight person, who is visited by an angel, and the angel says, your God's going to give you the gift of flight. You can fly if you lose some weight.
Oh,
And so he first starts off like, I'm going to lose weight, and then he gets discouraged, and he's like, no way, I'm beautiful as I am. What are you talking about? I'm just big boned. And then he finally turns around again, and he's just like, all right, you know what? You're right. This isn't healthy. I got to start losing some weight. I'm going to start. Is that a Chinese restaurant? And that's
the gag. But like, and for anyone, to be fair, like, I mean, everybody in some degree struggles with weight, and it's very difficult. And like, the struggle is genuine. Like, it's not just like not just overweight people who struggle with losing. Everybody struggles with that.
Well, right. And in a broader sense, the song is about like any kind of project or something. Like, I personally am like, okay, I'm going to buckle down. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work hard on this. And then I like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm lazy. And then,
it's anything. And so in the face of like, so when you really have to buckle down and work. So, if you have a job that you're working after your job, that's your passion or whatever it is, you have to make time for that. And sometimes even like the greatest reward, like you're just like, nah, fuck it, I'm not doing it, right? Yeah. It's like, no, I'm just like, it's just too much work. Well, like you can fly if you lose this pound. You're like, yeah, but I really like Chinese food. So I'm just going to eat that.
The funny thing is I was actually just thinking about that where I had this thought where, and this is going to sound very self-deprecating, but it was like a couple second thought where I was like, a couple of weeks ago, I didn't have a producer for the podcast, and right now my computer's on the fritz. Everything's going wrong. And I was like, I should just not do it. And I had a little bit of myself like, that's like free time. Fucking not do your hobby. And then my other side's like, what do you mean? I really enjoy it. And it's like, yeah, but then you can just sit around and do nothing. Like, oh, you got a point. Yeah. And I always was like, what's passion? Fuck passion. Yeah. There's a new video game out right now. I want to go play Red Dead. Yeah. So that's what it reminded me of was even something that is the reward. It gets too much. Like, even though I work my ass off so I can enjoy my hobbies. Yeah. Fuck the hobby, man. It's taken away from me doing nothing.
Right. Right.
Oh, man.
But so sometimes things just don't fire. Like, we love that song, the writing behind it.
And it didn't click.
But audiences just don't quite, either they don't get it or it doesn't hit them right. Or,
is there any other opposites where you guys do one and you're like, let's try it. And it's like, oh, man, now we got to do that one. They loved it.
I don't think we'll ever be disappointed if they really love it.
No. But the one that really caught me off guard, this was before you moved up, Terry and I wrote a song called Bargos, King of the Ocean.
Okay.
This was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We were just sitting around like talking and stuff, and like we should write some songs. We had a performance the next day at the Underground Unplugged. And so we're like, all right, whatever. And I'm like, here's a chord progression I've been working on. So I start playing, and he starts singing. That's kind of the way we evolved from straight up improvising to we'd improvise a little bit, come up with a concept, and then write it.
Yeah.
And he started singing about what he was going for was he was singing about this time he went scuba diving in a place called Crystal Lake. Okay. And you actually you'd swim around and there'd be eels swimming. You'd grab onto an eel and it would actually pull you down further. So that's how you get down into the water.
Sounds awesome.
And so he's saying this, grab onto the eels, and I swim down really far and I start busting the gut. He's like, what? What's funny? I'm like, I just had this image of a guy like Aquaman, except he's wearing a short sleeve button up shirt and like nobody respects him. Like he is the king of the ocean, but nobody recognizes his authority. And we just both laughed because it's 2 a.m. We're loopy by then. And in the midst of tear-stained laughter, he's just like, can his name be Bargos? And I said, I think it's important that it is. And then we wrote the rest of that song. And to us, this was something we wrote at like 2, 3 a.m. Like no one else is going to find this funny. But we played it and everyone loved it. Like they went nuts for it. And so that became a staple of our shows for quite a while. And we'll still pop.
And it was just a random bullshit.
And it's just this guy singing about how scuba divers come down and take apart his underwater car, and so he's like yelling at starfish to attack the scuba divers, but the starfish don't move because they're starfish.
Yeah,
and it's just
it is a funny concept of somebody who can talk to fish, but the fish, even though they understand him, they don't respect him.
Just like whatever.
They're like, I'm the one who even can do this.
His name isn't even Bargos, but that's what they all call him. So that's just
whatever, Bargos.
And so it's like. All that, but in this weird way, it's also this song about like just this horrible, poor, depressed person who just can't get any respect. God love him, and
I was gonna say, so you might have already covered this. We've been talking for a while now. But how often is it the funniest thing you guys have ever heard of, and you guys get into it, and you're like, oh, then we'll do that, and everybody's side busting and just fall flat 100%. Has that?
Oh yeah,
That's gotta like that happens just in my non-singing career.
I'm
honestly a joke.
Like you have to be able, as a performer. I think a comedian. I think it's very important that you embrace those situations, and you really have to. Like I've just
got to understand it's not.
I've come to
being
just like
jerks. Okay,
I've come to love it. Like I mean, you have to. You have to just like. It's a test of your mental fortitude because you're up there on the stage, like you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't just like walk off. You better just like turn it around mentally and just like forge through it.
Well, that one failed. All right, next one, guys.
Right? Yeah. You just have to be like.
Oh no, we've made a career of awkward silence.
Yeah, and then like not only do you have to embrace it, but then you have to be like, well, how much farther can it go? Like, how much more awkward?
And that goes back to the Kaufman. I want to bring up one thing because this is what it reminded me of. So I do a couple of role playing games in this room, and we do a superhero game right now based on a really old system. It doesn't matter, and we're just discussing one friend. It was as I said, I got to stay up a lot, so we went to IHOP at like 2 a.m. so I could stay up, and we come up with this idea of a guy whose only superpower is the dilute from Wayne's World.
Oh yeah.
So like but it's from everybody else's point of view that he's an NPC. So they just see him at the end of a successful encounter, and he's now seen the encounter 5 times, and it failed all 5 times, and he's like gone back like, all right guys, try this one. It's like, no, try the Scooby-Doo one. And so they'll just see him every once in a while, like, who's that asshole? And he's just like got a big gulp, and he's like, all right guys, just some punk. He's like, you guys made it. And we laughed our ass off. We riffed for like an hour of how funny this power would be. And we pitch it to the big role-playing group. And just, again, it's only like 5 people, but just crickets.
Yeah.
And no one's laughing. And then my buddy's like, we thought it was good. Like, sorry guys. Like, we really laughed.
Let's pitch it again.
Yeah, it's like, no, like, really, he does this. Like, what are you guys not getting?
Yeah.
And, so I would have to assume there's the same thing where you guys just, like, this is the funniest song we ever came up with. It just, no one gets it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can't think of a specific one offhand. I mean, we talked about Too Fat to Fly.
Too Fat to Fly, like, because like we rolled and just we thought that that song was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like nobody else really did,
And you tried to push it a couple times,
and then it's like, nah. And you're like, okay, well,
let's make Too Fast for Fly to work tonight. All right, fine. Let's try to make it work, and it doesn't again.
Yeah, I mean, that might even be. We might just, if we're gluttons for punishment, we bring it back up. Do
you guys are enjoying this too much. Let's do a song that never works.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. Like a lot of things we do that we love. I mean, it's for us, And I think sometimes. Like you mentioned before, sometimes that joy and that just our personalities might be able to sell it or be able to. You might be able because there's always that idea too. You might be able to tweak something or do something differently in the performance or something that will bring it back and people will be able to latch on and go, oh, I get it now. Like I always feel that way because I sing that one, so I'm just like, what the heck am I doing wrong? So like, how can I do this differently in order for people to get on board with it? Like, do I have to come out in like a big old like fat suit and jump around? Like, I don't think we're doing that, but like those are the thoughts in my head going about like how, because in my mind the song, we find it funny, other people should find it funny too. So it's just a matter of bridging the gap and getting people to join, right? And so what can we do differently that they can join on board?
There's
and be
another
part of
one that we did that I know you're not super keen on. I like it. I think it could maybe do with a rewrite. Because we kind of skipped over a portion where we brought the Kamikaze Snowmen back as a podcast.
Oh, right.
For several years. And so we'd write new songs and record our brainstorming process and release those on alternating weeks. And it went through various evolutions before we decided to drop it.
Through that, we wrote so much new material over the span of like 3-4 years. And some of them duds and some of them great.
That's where Too Fat to Fly came from.
Too Fat to Fly and Indiana and like just a bunch of songs came.
I remember the Indiana one. Yeah, I remember that one.
That's one that we probably can't not play. I think there's been a few shows, like especially when we're doing cons, where we haven't put it on the set list.
You have to do
and like walking up to the stage, or like past the sound people are like, "You're doing Indiana, right?" It's like, Well, yeah, of
Well,
course.
yeah, of course we are.
And when the people are that into it, it's hard not to
It'd be
enjoy
funny
it
to
still.
fuck with those people. Dude, in Indiana, which one is that, guys? I don't know, man. All right, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll improv it.
Yeah.
It's a loose one. All right.
But there's one we have called "Give Me a Sign," and I love it. I love the concept. Like I said, it could really do with a rewrite. But it's this Jack Johnson-esque little acoustic guitar thing. But the whole concept behind it. So are you familiar with like ghost hunters and paranormal investigation shows and stuff? They'll go and they'll do EVP sessions. They'll be like, all right, are you here? Give us a sign of your presence, that sort of thing. Except the person doing the session is like this frat guy hitting on the ghost.
Yeah.
Like it's like
too
super
far from some of those TV
and
shows.
it's just super greasy and just like, are you here, girl? Give me a sign, and just all this. And I love the concept of it. We played it live once, maybe twice, and it's been lukewarm. I know, Paul, you're not super thrilled about doing it,
Maybe it's a rewrite. I have to sing the thing.
Yeah, because it's just, I love the concept of it. It's one of those things. We have a few songs like that. There's another one that we don't play. We haven't actually recorded. We only played it live a couple of times, called The History of Love.
Yeah.
And this is one of those songs that, again, could go very, very wrong. Because it's like getting a history lesson, but from a boy band.
Yeah, so it could go very wrong. Yeah.
And so it's all about, like, what the word I'm looking like, freedoms,
The
slavery,
Emancipation
Proclamation.
I'll sign
like
your
that.
Emancipation Proclamation.
So it's like all this stuff about, I'll be your Abraham Lincoln. Ooh, baby, I've been thinking, I'll be your Abraham Lincoln. And it's like completely like boneheaded, but it's, if you listen to some of those songs.
Get it, they get that you guys are mocking idiots, but then other people would be like, it's just,
you're making fun of African Americans, and
there's people who go out of their way to be offended now, and it's very easy.
And there's people who go out of their way to offend, and so
I'm that one.
Yeah,
I love it.
But that one has this whole breakdown in the middle where it's like, oh baby, I'm gonna free you. I see you out there picking the cotton, and I'm gonna break your chains because that's love, and it's like just super inappropriate.
No,
it's like really
I'm loving it, but you could see how people would just what the fuck are they doing?
To show how like
and then somebody's gonna take it out of context and just do a verbatim. This is what the song says without hearing it.
Right.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah. So
you could not survive a Roseanne.
No, goodness,
you get screwed.
No. And so we have that alive in us somewhere, but it doesn't come out into the songs and onto stage as much, just because it's hard to play that right, and to come off well afterwards. Even if people know you, they're still going to be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, we get enough of that just by like the songs that were pretty.
The good ones. The good ones are like,
and we're just like geeky material and niche stuff, and we get enough of like, I don't know.
You look like you guys are having fun up there, but I didn't get it.
I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. But
the next one had better be Indiana, though.
Yeah, Indiana. Now, if I ever see you guys at a con, I'm screaming it just right away. All right, we're gonna stop. What holiday's coming up? Indiana Day.
Get him out of here.
Anyways, we actually made it past the 1:30.
Oh goodness!
We
sure did.
As I said, once the ice breaks, you just fly through.
Once we were talking about tacos, I was in.
Yeah.
Really? It was about 5 minutes ago when I made the Roseanne joke.
That finally got you.
Finally broke the ice.
Yeah, finally for me. I don't even know if I like it, guys. I might not do this. No, we made it past. It's 36. We nailed it.
Perfect.
So now I want you guys got anything coming up you guys want to talk about? I know you guys just did ValleyCon, right?
Actually, we didn't make it to ValleyCon this year.
I thought you guys did.
No, we were both out of town for that one.
But we did do Anime Fargo, which was just a month prior. Anime Fargo. That was the last big convention we did.
We
had our CD release show.
Oh yeah, we had our CD release show. Our CD release party. You can look up our CD. It's on all streaming devices, Apple or iTunes.
Okay.
Apple Music. I can't even
iTunes.
say.
Yeah.
iTunes, Apple Music, and
Spotify,
all that stuff. So it's called Ignorance and Bacon.
And it's on YouTube.
Yeah,
you can listen to the entire album.
Oh, sweet. That's how I do it. I got unlimited gigs. I do everything off YouTube.
Yeah.
I even only put this on YouTube. I only put
nice.
our podcast. We were putting it on other things, and then we had to start paying for it. And then we looked, and we had more views on YouTube than anything else, and it was
nice.
fuck it, I'll just put it on YouTube. And I understand some people don't have unlimited gigs and they can't do an hour and a half on YouTube. I get it, but whatever, fuck you, then don't listen.
Or just listen when you're under Wi-Fi. Anyway.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. But all right, so Ignorance and Bacon.
Ignorance and Bacon. So we did a big CD. We did a big CD release for that with Killstone Brewing in town, and we had a cool little concert there. They actually brewed a specific beer called Liquid Ignorance for the CD release party.
Awesome.
And then we served a bunch of pizza with everything had like bacon on it.
Drunk on your own beer?
Yeah, so we got to drink our own beer. We got to perform. It was a great
it's
event.
Called Ignorance?
Ignorance, Liquid Ignorance. And they might bring that back. People seem to like it. And then, so that we did.
Do you remember what kind of beer it was?
It was a porter.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It
was really good, too. It wasn't like, it wasn't
good.
On the super dark chocolatey side. It had a little bite to it.
I was going to say, if it's like.
really good.
It's like, well, it was an American lager. Whatever, moving on.
it was a Pilsner.
Yeah. It's like a lager, but not.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think we don't have anything planned. I think until like CoreCon. Correct me.
Right.
Next year.
I'll definitely be at CoreCon. Yeah. I started going to Comic-Con strictly to buy comics because I'm a comic guy.
Oh yeah.
And then we finally did CoreCon 2 years ago. Me and the wife finally went, and then I realized it's a great place to just get fucked up at.
Oh yeah.
The party rooms are great. Yeah.
So that's last year. I did most of an entire day with her, and then I did the entire Saturday, like noon to 2. Yeah. And let's just say I was fucked up on more than just alcohol, and it was very fun. And I did a really bad Vegeta, 5-minute cosplay. When I got a wig that was spiked up, but it was red, and I spent like 8 cans of black spray paint to make it. But you could still see the red. And then I got a pink shirt I wrote Batman on. It was horrible, but
nice.
But yeah. So if you guys are at CoreCon, I can see it. That's
yeah.
Sweet.
I might even get a party room this year talking about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. No, we do. We host at CoreCon. We typically do some comedy shows in conjunction with Stand Up Records out of Minneapolis.
Okay,
which is great. So we'll be there for sure. We will hopefully, probably, be doing a show at the Cellar at Front Street Tap Room.
Oh.
We know the guy who's booking that. He's just started booking that space with comedy shows. He brought in Eddie Pepitone.
Oh, okay.
For God's sake, which I'm so sad I had to miss. But he's booking more shows, and we got to play there doing a quick guest set for our friend Adam Quinnell, also on Stand Up Records. Just moved out to LA. It was like one of his last shows in the region before he moved. And it's a fantastic room, and so he's hoping as long as things keep going well, he's definitely gonna bring us in.
All right. Well, yeah.
So possibly January or February.
So if they find you on your Facebook, Kamikaze Snowmen, all that good stuff.
Kamikaze Snowmen on Facebook and
KamikazeSnowmen.com takes you right to the Facebook page at Kamikaze Snowmen on Twitter.
Yeah, so you got all the Twitters and stuff, all that good stuff. Well, thanks for coming to my basement. I'm just a random dude. Asked one of you guys to come to my house and have beer and record this off my phone. I feel like you guys are very easily able to be murdered. You should be so trustworthy. I could have killed you tonight.
We discussed it on the way over, and we thought, well, he had Rich early on the show, and he didn't murder him. And really, if he's going to murder somebody, he's probably going to be the one blind guy who actually owns the store, rather than the 2 family men who clearly have no time or money to their name. So we felt pretty good about our chances tonight.
Yeah, well, that's good. Maybe I tried and Rich just put up a really good fight.
I guess we'll find out.
It's got that Daredevil shit. You don't
really. He probably would have said something about it then. I don't think he would have kept. He would have been like, "Guys, you never guessed what? I fought off a guy and 2 of his cats."
Well, I even had my producer down here at that time. Well, thanks for coming, guys. That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It was great. Bye.
See ya.
Lordy, 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 lordy. There you guys have it, my talk with the snowmen of the Kamikaze variety. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good conversation. What did you guys think? Do all that. I never say this on this podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell for notifications. Even though I've never said it, I've heard YouTubers say it all the time that I don't even have to, I just know what to say. All right, anyways, as you can tell, I'm tired. So, thanks for listening, and let me know who we should talk to from around the area. If you guys think it's a good person, then screw it. Who am I, the judge? I'll talk to him. And coming up next week, I'm not 100% sure. It could be a couple different people, but all I can promise is there will be one next week, and it's going to kick ass. So you guys have a good one. It's Thanksgiving coming up and Black Friday, so don't don't get murdered and carved up and cooked into a turkey form for a bunch of cannibals. All right, bye.